You'd be forgiven for thinking this is some well-kept football field on the coast of Guyana. This is Paruima in the heart of Region 7, where football is almost like a ritual.
Yes, I do love football. From the time I was little, like 12 years, I started playing with friends, and I still try to continue up to now.
Paruima is a tiny community of just about 900 people, and they have 2 giant football fields. It's a sport that has been passed down from generations.
It started from our older parents. They loved to play football here before, and we continue that right through as we get older. Yeah.
They come out here every day, men and women, boys and girls. Among the women, Hazel Arthur. After a full day of work, this is her escape. During the day, you'd find Hazel Arthur here. She's the head teacher at the Paruima Primary School. In case you haven't guessed it, she has a special interest in ensuring the villagers keep their language, Arecuna.
My language tells me that I am an Amerindian, Arecuna tribe, and I mustn't say I am an Amerindian, Arecuna, and I don't know my language. I must know my language, so I want the children to grow with that also. Because your language shows that you're a nation by itself, a people by itself.
That's right, this is about identity. I'd always wanted to come here ever since I began writing about the indigenous peoples of Guyana. Paruima is special in more ways than one. It's the only village in Guyana where you would find the Arecuna people. Like the other 8 nations of indigenous people in Guyana, they are in a battle to preserve their culture, and no part of it more important than the language. For teacher Hazel, even if it means teaching the very basic, counting from 1 to 10, she'll do it.
I have been teaching like 30 years now, but it's not sheer Arecuna. We also teach in English.
But you make a special effort to teach in Arecuna? Why?
Yeah, I really want to teach in Arecuna because this village is the only Arecuna speaking village in the whole Guyana. But nowadays these children, they are trying to speak the English, even though it's not fluent, they're using the English. And many of them don't understand the Arecuna. I really want them to have this language. I want it to go on and on, because if this thing stops, like next 10 years, there mightn't be anybody speaking the language. So I really want to teach in my language.
Is there a problem when you try to mix the two, Arecuna and English?
Yes, in school, in your the children, it's affecting the children plenty, because they have to write their composition, their essays, or whatever in English, but at home they're speaking this language that's, I don't know how, it might become Paruima English soon, because they are putting Arecuna words and so on mixed up.
The need to preserve the Arecuna language has become greater of recent, with many migrants from Venezuela only speaking Arecuna and are being integrated into the school system.
Those who came from Venezuela, if they don't speak the English, we speak to them in Arecuna. So I also encourage my teachers, because my teachers are young, as I said, 20 and so on. I keep talking to them, speak their language, and also parents are around who don't speak English, those who came from Venezuela.
The wrestle to preserve the culture of the Arecuna people goes back to the time when they settled in Guyana. The religious influence in the village is dominant. Most people bear English or Spanish names. The Arecuna refer to themselves as the Pamon people, a name that borrows from their Spanish connection.
Many years ago, our grandparents were introduced to this Christianity. So the pastors that came gave our grandparents these names. So that's how most of our names have changed from indigenous names to Christian names.
Do you know what your indigenous name would have been?
No. All that has lost long ago.
The village is about 20 miles from Venezuela, and they've traveled back and forth over time. Those who are now settled in Paruima are thought to have been those who migrated with Reverend A.W. Cott, who was expelled from Venezuela in 1930 because of his religious work among the indigenous people of Venezuela. But long before the arrival of that group, the Arecuna people are thought to have occupied the upper and central areas of the mighty Camarang River over 180 years ago. But even then, it has been tied to the religious persuasion of the Christian leaders.
According to my own research, right, it may be in the late 80s that my great-grandparents live around here, around the head of this Camarang and the Orinoco River head. Between there, they used to live. And my father used to tell me years ago, he was a very small boy. His grandparents brought him as a hideout. When I did my own research, it looked like it was during Spanish aggression. They got away and hide in the jungle there. And the grandfather used to tell them, don't speak loud, they had to speak silently hiding in the bush there, years ago. And so now, they used to roam in this area long ago.
In the mountains?
In the mountains, until the missionaries met them and brought them into this Christianity. And so they come in and establish a mission. That was during 1933, somewhere around there.
The Arecunas are not the only people you would find along the Camarang River. The Akawayo also inhabit these parts. In the past, there may have been many wars over territory. After years of dismissing the idea, Roy Chambers came to the realization that there may be some truth to the stories after he began picking up stones from the river.
This stone here is called a jasper stone. And this stone, the jasper stone, how it reached here. The origin of this jasper stone is in the Grand Savannah. That's on the other side of Paruima. And that's where there's a huge deposit of jasper. The Arecuna Indians, or the Pamon tribe, were the ones who learned to fabricate their own tools with this special jasper stone.
So what would they do with something like that?
They make warfare arms with these things. So how it reached here definitely shows a little bit of evidence that the Arecuna Indians had their hunting territories, so they have defended their territories by fabricating this here, and most of these tools now have been left here. Maybe, most of these were found under the water. Maybe they capsized or whatever. All this I found underwater when I was diving. And I got interested in these things because of the stories that I heard from my grandparents, from my grandfather especially, who told me about these legends or the history. And I never took interest when I was younger. But as I became older now, and seeing the evidence that sparked my interest in keeping these things. So this is a proof of that these things really did happen hundreds of years ago.
For most of the Arecuna, farming is their way of life. Some go to other villages to find work. Over the decades, they have made a constant trek through the mountains to neighboring Venezuela. That trek takes them to one of Paruima's jewels, Uchii Falls. To get there, it takes a day of walking in the jungle, up and down some incredible hills, torture for me at least. The area is rich in biodiversity and remains one of the least explored places in Guyana.
I enjoy that trip to Uchii, seeing that great waterfalls. That great drop was so amazing to me.
Paruima comes filled with legends, and the reverence for the land and the environment is unmistakable.
The rain normally sets and comes from that direction.
It always does?
Yes, it always does. So that's how it's been known as the Rain Mountain, because looking at that rain, many people believe that the gods of that mountain are annoyed and they bring the rain from that direction. So in the belief of our indigenous belief, we believe like they're gods of the mountains, gods of the jungle, gods of the waters, gods of the high mountains, gods of the trees. So these elements normally work together. So that's how we believe that there's some sort of god that lives in that mountain, and whenever it gets annoyed, it comes from that direction. So that's how we call it Rain Mountain.
You can always tell how far away the rain is, if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes
Yes,
away.
because the speed, you can hear the song of the rain, and the strength of the breeze that blows can easily tell you that it's near.
The people of Paruima are fiercely protective of their environment. Many villages have gone into mining as there's little other economic activity they can pursue, but the people of Paruima have constantly rejected any offers.
And with the people, we need to decide what is the best thing we can do.
But you're not willing to sacrifice the way Paruima looks right now?
I don't think so. Because people want to protect the environment, the river, and they have heard or they have seen what has happened to the lower Mazruni, or on the other side, Kamrang. And they do not want that to happen, basically. The same thing where the Mazruni has been polluted or contaminated for many years now, 30, 40 years. It doesn't change, so basically that's the main reason.
If that happens here, what will happen to you here?
Well, basically we as a people, we depend mostly on the river. We want the river to be not contaminated with mercury that might be not helpful for us. Yeah.
And are there other things that you're concerned about if you were to do mining or other activities here?
Well, basically not the river alone, as as you said. I'm a pilot, and I have flown over the Middle Amazon. I've seen the destruction that the mining has done, and if we were to allow mining, large-scale mining, basically our reservation would basically be devastated.
For the first time, Paruima has a representative in the National Parliament. He's often in Georgetown to attend sittings of the National Assembly. He's a previous village chief and explained why the Arecuna people have been so against mining.
You see, we live in the upstream of Kamrang River, and there are other villages down the river. For example, Waramdang has secondary school where there are a population of over 600 resident students. So if we have to go into mining, the upstream, the river that they're using as drinking water will be polluted with mining. Well, there's gold, there's diamond, but as mining, there's a lot of destruction. First thing is discoloration of water contamination. There's no clean drinking sources in other villages. Deforestation is one, and teenage pregnancy, drugs abuse, and all the drugs-related cases that we find in other villages. Even death occur and all of that we have learned from that.
With mining refused, what else can Paruima do to bring in an income for its people? They've decided that tourism is something that they can experiment with. Leading the initiative is school teacher Sandro Edmond. So Sandro, here in Paruima, people do farming. Some go to work in the mines, some go to Venezuela. But you are trying to bring more revenue to Paruima by means of tourism.
The former council gave us a task, and we were an informal group actually. We were not formally installed. So they gave us a task, specific task, and that is to try to develop tourism, try to develop certain product, at least one product for now, that we can sell. So the idea too was that people were speaking, especially at general meetings, about venturing into mineral mining, but many people objected to that because they have seen the destructiveness of it, especially in these parts, mineral-rich areas in the Upper Mazaruni. There was more destruction than development, and so people didn't like the idea. So what then can we get into? I think the best option for us was tourism, eco-tourism.
So the product that you're trying to sell, at least for now, is Uchii Falls. Why there?
Yeah, well, it actually happened accidentally, with the internet now coming into the village. Somebody accidentally just went there and, posted a picture on, the social network, and then found good response from everyone, everywhere. And, we thought about, hey, we have something here.
Even with tourism, the Arecuna people are very guarded about the potential impact.
Some of them think about what you call intellectual property that we have, the knowledge that we have of the herbs or the natural medicines. They are protective of it, and ideas. So it is really hard to change the mindset, and I do understand why.
Why?
Well, just like the mineral that we have here, that we have been protecting for years, I think that if we should, be careless with what the information that we have, give it out carelessly, I believe that would be as much as losing our language, and there would be nothing unique to our village anymore.
So your goal then in getting into tourism is to do what?
My vision is develop Paruima as eco-friendly as possible. Develop Paruima. I mean, it is good in a sense that we do not have road connections to other parts of Guyana. I see this as an advantage. Other people don't, I think. Once you're connected, there would be easy access to Paruima and even easy access to Uchii. People were asking, I was surprised people were asking, can you drive there? Can you fly there? How possible is it for a chopper to land there, you know? People think it in this sense, like easy to get to. Yes, many people might have the same idea, but for me, I would like Paruima to be a different place, you know, hard to get to, but at the same time equally rewarding when you get there. Once you get there, I mean, your experience to Uchii Meru has been a hectic one, I'm sure, but to get there was worth it, you know, I suppose.
It was. Actually, the tourism experiment is opening the eyes of the Arecuna people of how much in the way of culture has been lost and what needs to be revived.
We're discovering many things that we took lightly, or we didn't pay much attention or no attention at all. Like the one I mentioned, the Arecuna culture. We were just consumed with Western life, or, you know, civilized life then. And what we discovered recently at our meetings was we were trying to develop something for tourists that would come, maybe that want to see some cultural presentations, and we were, you know, left shocked. Oh, we don't have this? We didn't know we didn't have this. So we realized that we need more to be done, and we realized also that Arecuna, the language Arecuna, is being lost. It is at the verge of being completely lost, you know. So that is something to really try to resurrect, and that would start with the younger children, definitely.
My mother never speak English or things like this. So I grew up like that. With
So how
my
did you learn your English? Your English is very good.
Yeah, but I went to the school up to 12 years. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe 5 years since I never go nowhere. You know, when I grow up like this. I didn't grow up with those what coming new. I mean, coming new, like flour, rice, and dish like that. My mother used to teach me natural food, like this banana. This is red banana, and this is malibaima, what it called malibaima. We call it malibaima. I don't know how you others call it, but malibaima. Yeah. And that plantain could use to grate and make porridge, and not with sugar. My mother used to make it with cane, that sugar cane. She just make stump a tree, something like that. She'll squeeze it and mix it just like with the sugar. So I have to teach her that before everything gone from her head. That's my
That's your mission.
Yes. I don't want she to forget my grandmommy and grandparents' culture. I don't want she to forget. So you have to teach her what to make, what to eat, you know. We don't have to.
And how did you learn to spin cotton?
Well, I just see my mother spinning, and she didn't tell me to do this, but I just could do it.
So you spin the cotton and do what with it?
How?
What do you do with this when you're done?
Oh, well, I have to take, when it's full, I have to take it, roll it up.
And do what with it?
And then I get another full up like this one again. Roll it up, and I will spin it again to make a hammock. To make a hammock.
You make the hammock for yourself or to sell?
Yeah, no, for myself. Because, you know, here in Paruima we don't have plenty market to sell, or, you know. So, for myself. But if anyone said they want, I could sell.
No, this is what makes us very unique. The Aurosa. We could either put smoked meat or fish or whatever we want to put in it. We add pepper, salt, which make it very tasty.
Well, the way we live is, I think it's different from other people. We have communal way of living. We do work together. We share whatever we have, and that's how that's the kind of spirit we have right there.
Tell me about your tattoos.
Oh, that was when I was young.
Did they have any meaning?
Yeah, well, this is the name of my wife, and I'm still living with my wife.
This is what we call a rim stick.
A what?
A rim stick. Rim stick.
Rain?
Rim stick.
Rain stick.
Yeah. Okay, so nearly the rim. We just call it rim stick.
A nation's language embodies the identity of its people. Losing it would mean losing immeasurable wisdom, wisdom that is expressed in an entire way of life, food and medicine, art and beauty. If anything else, I leave Paruima with immense pride for the way the Arecuna people have guarded the integrity of their land, and I hope their aspirations can be met while preserving their unique language and culture.
For me, Paruima, I would like to see Paruima develop. We would not want what has happened to other villages, throughout Guyana. Pollution has been one. Drugs and alcohol has already, destroyed many villages.